All right.
Well, we are live now. So welcome to the persistent entrepreneur. I can't even say my own podcast name. Welcome to the Persistent Entrepreneur Podcast. We went live fast. How are you today, Brittany?
Excellent. How you doing? Thanks for
And
having me.
of course, I am doing excellent myself. Thanks. I think the first time we're actually streaming live on Instagram as well. We're live on X, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and our Facebook business channel. Man, we're live everywhere. So it's good stuff. Well, thanks for joining us today. And today we're going to talk about something that is my favorite. One of my favorite topics is health. And you know why? Because if you don't have, I believe this, and you can give us, and you will give us your thoughts on this. But if you don't have your health, then like what else is there, right?
Right. Yeah.
You know, so you are with the Wellness Way. You are a health restoration. Well, it's a health restoration clinic, and you guys help people with health and wellness. You're a mother of three, and your passion is health. And you have a nutritional coaching background. Your philosophy is a healthy lifestyle. Well, you know, I'm butchering your bio. So why don't you just tell us about yourself, and I'll just ask some better questions. How's that sound?
That's good. Yeah. So the Wellness Way, we are a health restoration clinic. We are all over the country, and the beauty of these clinics is the approach that these docs take. They're very well trained, and they're looking at it from the perspective that the body doesn't make mistakes and it can be restored. So like you said, when you don't have your health, it's really the one thing you're always thinking about. When you're unhealthy, the only thing you think about is how sick you feel or how sore you are or how much pain you're in. So we really take it for granted until it happens to us and it's a piece of it's taken away. And that's when we really start to value it and understand how important it is, right? Because without it, you're not running your business, your household, volunteering in your community, whatever it is you're out there doing. If you don't have your health, it's very difficult. So we believe that it can be restored, that you don't just have to grow old and things have to be achy, or that you need to just, gain weight because you're in your certain decade of life, or that menopause is supposed to just be torture. That all comes with really a lifestyle and understanding of what are we fueling our bodies with? What are we fueling our minds with? How are we fueling our souls? Every piece is super important. So, it's not just like, oh, I'm going to eat healthy and everything's good. It's okay. Let's look at all your facets of life, right? Your relationships with people, with money, with the Lord, and then with food. Are you moving? Are you practicing some type of stress, management, stress reduction? Everybody has stress. No one, the goal is not to say, oh, I'm going to live a stress-free life. The goal is, how am I managing the stresses that come at me each day?
Yeah, absolutely. So much good stuff there. And I mean, I think just kind of going back to where you started, why do most people have to let it get to something before they take action? Like, are we like conditioned a certain way as humans just to like ignore or like why is it that it has to get bad before somebody actually starts focusing on improving their health? For most people, not all people, but
yeah, I think it's just like a human nature thing. It's like desperation sometimes that's what drives the change, right? You hear about rock bottoms or your darkest moments. And I think that's what, if everything just went really well and life was easy, we wouldn't really be motivated to improve or get better or go for more. Now, there are those people out there that they lead healthy lives and they just can't get enough of it, right? They're just going to that next level. And some of them, but actually a lot of them came out of a desperate, I'm thinking about Sean Stevenson. I love his podcast, The Model Health Show. I tune into that every single week. He has so much amazing content. And his journey came from, he was a like a young teenager, and his bones were just breaking in the middle of in the middle of competitions, right? Your bones should not be breaking as a teen, right? So, and that was growing up on processed foods and sodas and sugars and all these things. So I'm not a psychiatrist on any level. So to answer your question, I can only answer it from my personal experiences. Like, when things get really bad, then you start to change. And I think that, until we experience something in our life, sometimes we just don't have that drive to go after what it really is we need to. I think it's easy to go after other things as an avoidance strategy, but head on with the health, I think that can feel more like a luxury path for people than a lifestyle path. And that's where we want to change that perspective of like, health is not luxury. It's not, showing up at a spa. It's not, hiring a personal trainer. It's not like getting your own personal chef. It's not the fancy stuff. It's a lifestyle. So, and we all have the right to that lifestyle. And if we can tap into that lifestyle with every small decision that we make, that's how we get that bigger picture of what we call health.
Yeah. So for me, I like to personally, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm perfect at this, right? But I'm really trying to stay in front of it. So I want, I know there's a lot of, I'm not sure how much you're into like the Peter Diamondises of the world. I don't know if you even know who he is. I probably should ask you before we started recording, but those are the guys that are focused on extending your life to 150, 200 years. But the only way that you can ever do that is if you are physically healthy, because they have technology now that we know can extend people's lives, right? But if you're brittle and falling apart and have inflammation everywhere, it doesn't matter, right? You can't extend that. So for me, it's like, I think it's like getting in front of those things. That's what you do for people, right? Like you help them get in front of the things that are going to affect them down the road. Or
in a perfect world, they'd come to us to get in front, but most people are decades behind, unfortunately. Yeah. Because if you think of the toxic load and the amount of stress and the trauma and the food and the lack of movement, and just, being inside all the time. I mean, the list goes on. And, most people aren't ahead. Most people are behind in one way, shape, or form. But the whole goal is this: yes, we will utilize things to help support the body along the way. But my biggest thing are really the basics. And I think that most people that we see through the clinic, and then most people that I've really worked with through being a personal trainer and a health coach over the past, say, 15 years, it's more about they're missing the basics. They're really focused on the next, shiny program or object or technology or pill or injection that is going to get them skinny or whatever it is their goal is. And they're missing the basics. And the basics really are like, okay, are you eating healthy? People come in and they want to get all this testing done, and testing is phenomenal. And we really believe in testing at the Wellness Way, so that we are basing a care plan on someone's individual needs. But if someone is just going to continue eating processed foods and or skipping meals or not eating enough protein or what have you, well, we know the tests aren't going to show up well. But let's get you back to the basics. Let's clean some of these foundational things up. How often are you exercising? How many hours of sleep are you getting at night? What is your typical diet look like throughout your day? And when you start to just go back to those basic things and build that foundation, you feel so much better within weeks. And then it's like, okay, now let's start adding in the other things that we need for support, right? And that might look like, take someone's gut, for instance. If we do a stool test and they have a lot of overgrowth, or they've got parasites, or they have, their secretory IgA or whatever, their mucus lining has been depleted, these like little things. Okay, so now we're gonna involve some supplements to help the body's restoration process. But if all we did was say, oh, you feel this way, we're going to give you this supplement, we're still just caring for you on a symptom-based care plan. We don't want to do that. So that's the difference between restoration and symptom care. Because symptom care, sure, you could be really stressed out, right? Your cortisone levels could be super out of balance. We could give you kava, and that could be, you could feel better, but did we correct the problem?
Yeah.
We didn't, right? So that's kind of where people have to continue to keep going. Is a lot of times the point that when they start to feel better, they say, oh, I'm better, I'm all set. Well, we want you to feel better as soon as possible, because that's motivation, right? For all of us. No one wants to feel like crap. No one wants to be in pain. Nobody wants that stuff to take years. But the restoration process itself does take years. You can feel better in weeks or months, but when we stop at that point, that's why you kind of can feel like you're on a hamster wheel, and you have like these issues that pop back up, or you have another flare up, or your stomach feels good for a while, but then it's like, oh, this one thing threw it off. Our bodies are meant to be super adaptable, but they're only as adaptable as strong as we let them be.
Yeah. So much. I want to, in a minute, I want you to give us kind of a basics. It's funny. I was watching last night. I don't watch a lot of TV, but we were watching The Voice with my daughter. With my daughters, they enjoy that. And there was a commercial for. It looks like it's a new injection now that people can take where they can lose weight, which I found interesting. And as they were telling at the end of these commercials, they tell you the potential symptoms. Like, you got to be careful. Like, you can, if you feel like a heart pain or they give you all the list of potential issues. And one of them was suicidal tendencies. I was like, holy cow. Like, that's insane. Right? Like, think about like that. And so, like, it just, when you said the magic pill or the fix, that's what that reminded me of, is just everybody's trying to get the magic fix. How unreal, is there a magic fix? I think I already know the answer. Or is it just the consistencies of doing the things that you mentioned? And then I also want to throw this out there as well. How important is exercise? Because you haven't mentioned exercise yet.
So the magic is in your lifestyle. I always, when you see people, oh, I've got a wedding coming up or a vacation coming up, and they do, they're really rigid during that period of time. And then after the event passes, they are kind of like back to where they were, right? So it's all in your lifestyle. So if you have a lifestyle, I always have said, your lifestyle never takes a vacation. Healthy habits never go on vacation. So no matter where you go, no matter what you're doing, you bring your healthy habits with you. So exercise is, I find it to be extremely important. I think that the exercise world pushes women to a point that isn't necessarily in congruence with their cycle. I experience that personally. And I see it all the time, where women, we have, let's just say on average, a 28-day cycle, right? So we're different every week of the month. You ever notice that in your wife? She's a different person each week, maybe?
Yes, I notice.
It's okay. It's healthy. That's how we're supposed to be.
I think it's a little neurotic, but it's good.
Not. It's called hormones.
Yeah.
So the thing that happens with these hormones is that we want to make sure we're taking care, like, women have to nurture their bodies throughout that cycle, right? So if all we did was HIIT works out and burpees and run half marathons and do that, every week, all the time, we're depleting our hormones. So then we're actually putting ourselves in a spot where we're going to store more fat, especially around our belly and our thighs. Those are like the two spots us women are always like ripping ourselves apart about, right? We're always looking at our stomach and we're always looking at our thighs. And no matter where we're at, they're never good enough. So we have to understand like this kind of, it's everything has this cyclic, everything has a rhythm in this life, and our hormones are on their sort of rhythm. So should our exercise regime. So say week 1, that week a woman gets her menses, she should be taking it easy, right? You can do some yoga, go for walks. That's a really great self-care week. Get massage, things like that. And then in week 2, that's the week we could go do like those more hardcore workouts. If we, want to be getting into the HIIT workouts and going for longer runs and strength training. I think strength training is the most important thing. I think that it's, especially as we age, I think it's super important that we're combining that into our regime. And even on that first week, you could go light with a strength train, but even yoga, you're using your muscles, right? When your body weight can be a lot of times harder than, I always like, it's always funny to watch like a really strong heavyweight lifter do like Pilates, because it looks really easy on screen, and then you're just sitting there holding your arms out, and they can like bench 350, but then to hold your arms out like this for a full minute in like a low squat.
When they're that big though, it's probably pretty difficult, right?
Right. My point is that you can get a lot done with just your body weight. So exercise is super important. So then week 2, you go harder. Week 3 is like week 1, you'd like slow it down. And then week 4, you should be able to go harder again. So I think exercise, movement.
So let me ask before we jump on. So is there a difference? I don't, do you hear this?
I don't hear anything except you.
All right, sorry. I swear to you, I've gotten like 3 phone calls. It's like the most calls I've ever gotten. And normally I shut this off. So my apologies. But if you don't hear it, that means nobody else hears it except me. So that's good. Now everybody knows that. But anyway, what was I going to? Oh, men, women. You said you talked about women. What about men? Like, is it different, or is it?
You guys can just go hard. Go hard. You can fast. You're built differently than us. Your hormones are different. We all have the same hormones, but at different levels. So a healthy man is, he's got energy. He's got focus. He's focused on, if he has a family, he's providing, he's a protector. And you guys can go get in the gym. The gym is so good for you. Fasting is so good for you. Women have to be a little more careful with the whole fasting thing. Long fasting for women is especially cycling women, is not healthy for their hormones. So they just have to work, it's just working with a practitioner to make sure that you're doing it the right way so that it's optimal for your health, but you're not pushing it too far. But men, 72-hour fast on, say, quarterly throughout the year, so good for you guys.
I never fast. Well, it's not true. I've done it a couple of times, but I work out a ton. So, and I do triathlons. I mean,
I would say the one thing that with men, that if you're doing triathlons and you're going hard and you want to make sure you're fueling right? Getting enough protein, getting the healthy fats. And even, I think that some people have this, they're sort of against supplements. They want to do everything without supplements. And I'm a huge believer in your food first, always, with what you want to get with your nutrients. But if you're going to push your body to an extreme, you also want to make sure you're supplementing too, because you just want to make sure that you're giving the body enough nutrients, enough fuel, and that it's getting into the cells, and that it's just getting what it needs for the proper restore and repair so you can keep going.
Yeah. So our listeners are professionals, entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs typically go hard when it comes to growing their business, working long hours, right? Like that's part of being an entrepreneur, right? You deal with the grind, right? Like if you listen to my podcast, I say I exist to persist, correct? I persist to exist. It goes either way. But so so for our listeners, our entrepreneurs, when they're like, well, I'm busy, I got to do this. What do you say to these guys about, okay, you're here telling us that we need to probably eat healthier. We need to get more sleep, right? We need to do some supplements, maybe do some Pilates or what, like where do we find time to do all this stuff?
Just the same way you find time to make that sales call. You put it in your schedule. You got to put it on your calendar. If you don't put yourself as a priority on your calendar and your health, all that grinding and all that, 10xing and everything you all want to do isn't happening. So it'll happen for a certain point until you have a heart attack, and then it's not happening anymore, right? So what's more important? So, and it doesn't have to be, that's the thing, like, with your entrepreneurial spirit, you don't need to go work out for 2 hours. You don't need that long. Like, some days you might just be getting on your Peloton for 20 minutes, getting the blood flowing. And then there's that other day where you have a little bit more time. So you're going to incorporate, hey, I'm going to do my strength training. And then maybe you're fitting in some cardio at the end. But you just have to understand that. And okay, you can keep dumbbells under your desk. You can keep bands in your home office. There's little ways we can fit this stuff in throughout the day, right? So if you're listening to a training, listen to it in a plank. Why do you have to sit in a chair? Listen to it in a wall sit. Listen to it while you're doing a workout. I listen to things constantly while I'm doing my workouts. So there's ways that you can couple it, even business meetings, right? So when it's the nice weather, I like to do my face-to-faces walking. It's a walking lunch. It's a walking meeting, right? So you're getting your movement in, you're getting outside, you're getting exposure to the sun, you're doing all these things. And so you're still conducting your business, but you're getting your movement in. So it's about really being more efficient rather than just fitting in more in your day. And even the food piece. So like today for lunch, I had ground beef and broccoli, and that takes 7 minutes to cook in the morning before you head out, or you can prepare it at night beforehand. But something like that, it's like, these are like simple little meals, that you can do that, because everybody's busy. I don't care if you're an entrepreneur or if you're a stay-at-home mom. The stay-at-home mom is just as busy as the entrepreneur. So it's finding that time, and it's priorities. That's all it is. It's priorities. And so if you prioritize your health, you're going to find a way to fit in meal prep, exercise, coffee with your spouse, date nights with your spouse, reading with your children, reading in your Bible. This is what lifestyle is. Lifestyle is fitting all these little things in throughout the day, and understanding that nothing is like this one block of time, right? Let these times be sliding blocks. Some days you might have an hour in the morning to read or do whatever it is your morning routine is. And sometimes that might just be a 20-minute routine. It's about being adaptable and knowing, okay, hey, at least I'm staying consistent with this. I'm still doing it. It's when you say, oh, I don't have an hour, so I'm just not going to do it. That's when it becomes a hindrance.
Yeah. So I want to create a list for our listeners in a minute of like the basics. Like, here are the things that you can start with, and if you had to, like, let's just say, because to me it's a lifestyle, right? Like, to me, health and fitness is a lifestyle. Like, I've been doing it my whole life. So, I think some people are surprised when they find out that I'm 55 years old, because how I look a lot younger, and I feel a lot younger, and I'm very mobile, and I move, but that's only because I started working out at 17 years old, and I loved how it made me feel, and I just never stopped. Right. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's a lifestyle. And then I tend to want to eat healthier because I work out. Right. Over the years, I've become more aware of my sleep, which I know is important as well. But I want to find out, like, what if we could give, like, our listeners, like, hey, here's the basics. Here's where you should start, and kind of give them something that they can take with them, and then they could kind of start there and work their way up to that next level. And then obviously I want to them to connect with you as well, if they're locally.
Yeah. They can do remote too. So we see people all over New
Okay.
England, really, Pennsylvania. So we can do non-local. Though I will just say, if there is someone next to a Wellness Way clinic that is in another state, I will refer them there because it's good to be able to be in person as much as you can. But with that being said, I think that the easiest things to do is, start with your grocery list. What are you buying? What do you stock your house for success? So you want, grass-fed, grass-finished meats, organic pasteurized poultry. You want wild-caught fish. You want that, as much as organic you can go with vegetables, do it. You can look at the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. Anybody can Google that. So say if someone doesn't want to do an entire organic grocery list, at least look at the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. And then those Dirty Dozen, get those organic because they're just so saturated with chemicals. Do yourself a favor and at least do those Dirty Dozen organic, right? So a lot of times what I see is it's just like people aren't getting enough protein and they're not getting enough veggies. They're doing a lot of carbs. They're doing a lot of sugars. And so you want to have, I love ancestral blends because they're blending more than just the beef. They're blending some of the liver and different organ meats within an ancestral ground beef, but you're not just eating the liver. So a lot of people wouldn't want to just eat organ meats, right? Scallops and, cod and salmon, those are great seafood options to be having. I know too, as an entrepreneur and a business person, they deal with that whole challenge of they're entertaining a lot at lunches or dinners, or they're traveling, right? So what I always tell the people that we work with who travel a lot, know your go-tos, right? Is there a Wegmans where you're going to be traveling to? Is there a Whole Foods? And then have like kind of your on-the-go go-tos. And that could mean, we do like a bone broth protein powder. I don't necessarily push people to live off of protein shakes, but they're a good quick fix when you need them, right? So bone broth is a really good source of protein because our bodies can easily digest it and absorb it. And so that's something easy on the go. You just can like shake that up and drink that down. So getting enough vegetables and varying your veggies, right? Having all the different, just think of the colors of the rainbow when you're shopping for your vegetables. You have to buy every single one of them in each grocery, but like think, okay, for this week, I'm going to utilize like spinach and collard greens and colored peppers and things like that. Sauerkraut is an excellent thing to utilize. It's a great source of fiber and it's easy to eat, easy to add to so many things and have as a side. And fillers, I think that's where they're used to like pastas and rices, right? As that little filler, that little chunk they put. Roasted chickpeas are one of my favorite fillers. They fill you up, they're delicious, and they're easy to cook. So it's just really stocking your kitchen, making sure you're cooking with avocado oil or ghee or grass-fed butter, using your olive oil more for drizzling and seasoning at the end, making salad dressing with simple ingredients like apples.
I want to jump in for a second because, a lot of the people listening to this are not going to I'm just being honest. They're not going to do what you just said. They're not going to get olive oil because you're dealing with a lot of entrepreneurs. And so and there are going to be some people that will do that. Like my wife V will do that. And there's going to be people that will say, okay, I'm going to go get all organic, grass fed. By the way, that's for a lot of people, can't even afford to eat like that. Right. Like, unfortunately, that's just reality. So what do you say to those people, like more like basics, Brittany? Like if let's just say somebody's like, okay, I'm not really doing anything right now.
Still go with meats and vegetables and lentils, still go with those things. It's still a step up from McDonald's or Chick-fil-A or all those other places that are just like the quick stops, right?
Got it. Okay.
Still go for those things.
So instead of stopping at like McDonald's for lunch, go to Whole Foods for lunch, right?
Yeah.
Or it maybe, I don't know, is Subway healthy or no? Subway used to be like considered somewhat healthy. That was like the healthy choice when I was growing up. Is that
No.
no, it's
No,
not.
and honestly too, like I said, I'm telling you, you'll actually spend more time driving to Subway, ordering, and driving back to your office than if you had ground beef in your fridge in the morning and threw that on a pan. It takes 7 minutes. So 7 minutes versus it's going to take you, I bet you 20 minutes to get yourself to a fast food, order it, get back to the office and go work versus the 7 minutes it's going to take you at home on your stovetop and you bring it to work.
So food prep is so what is there must be companies that will help with this, right? Like you can, if you don't have an awesome wife like V that will do all this for you, is there like a service I can call that will?
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to save money though. If you're talking about saving money.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
So it's like.
I'm not saying, I'm just saying I always try to think of all the people that listen.
I get
to the
it.
podcast, right?
So here's the thing. Then my encouragement to them would be like, aim to prepare one meal a day at least for yourself.
Yeah, that's a great place to start, right? Like if you're normally eating 3 horrible meals, at least if you now have 1 good meal and 2 horrible meals, that's a little bit better. And then eventually
because then they're going to realize how easy it is to prepare that meal. And it's just like exercising, right? When you're not exercising, it's very daunting to think about starting an exercise routine. But if you just put yourself out there and say, I'm just going to do a 15-minute walk today, what usually happens? The time flies by. Sometimes you're out there for 20 minutes and you can't believe how good you feel. So then you're motivated the next day to do it again, right? So it's really taking that first step. So start small with your goal. Okay, I'm going to take 1 meal a day. I'm going to prepare for myself because I'm worth the preparation of this meal and my body needs this fuel to continue to go forward.
So let me ask you this. What do you think of this this quote I came up with? It says, exercise is not nice. Oh, I'm sorry. Exercise is not a nice to do. It's an essential.
We have to move. Movement. You have to keep moving your body. Absolutely. But I think what we have to understand, we have to get out of the mindset that movement is only that block that we scheduled exercise in, right? So if you're at a desk job, every hour you should be getting up and walking around and doing some kind of a movement. Like, for example, my mother works in a hospital. She makes sure that she goes up and down those flights of stairs multiple times a day while she's there because she's a case manager. So a lot of her stuff that she has to do is at a desk. So it's understanding how to just like fit these little things in throughout your day. Standing desks are better than sitting desks, right? That's an adjustment that someone could make. And you don't have to spend an arm and a leg for one of those. You can get the kind that sit on top of your desk. You could challenge yourself every hour. I'm going to do 10 air squats. That's pretty easy, right? You're moving throughout your whole day. So there's just these little things, obviously you're not going to pop into air squats in the middle of like a presentation or something, but
I like air squats. I haven't done them in a while. I miss
them. And you could have your audience join you.
They're really good for you.
It's all mindset. It's just like anything. It's a mindset. And if you're always looking to cut the corners, then that's what you're going to get as a result.
So all right. So number 1 is going to focus on our diet. We're all going to focus on making it a little bit better. We don't have to go from like, every meal's McDonald's to like every meal's,
organic and cooked at home.
Yeah, cooked the night before. No, but let's do 1 a day, right?
Yeah.
To start, and so maybe we don't have to go be gym rats and start doing triathlons like me, but we can work out 15 minutes, right?
Yeah.
A day or whatever it is, right? Like, is that kind of like what you're saying, or what? Like,
Yeah, if someone needs to take it into bites, small bites, yes, that's it. You're just creating these little small pockets throughout your day that you're making one small change at a time. Every small decision we make throughout the day is the accumulation of like our success or who we are, right? So if you're looking in your fridge and all you want to do is like, oh, I just would really rather just heat up this pizza, but if instead you say, nope, I'm going to take 5 extra minutes and I'm going to saute some spinach and some mushrooms and I'm going to make 2 over easy eggs. It was just a really small flip of a decision. And so every time you make that decision and you flip it and you do a little better, okay, at night, oh, I just want to have a bowl of ice cream. Instead of the bowl of ice cream, maybe you're like, okay, tonight I'm going to do berries, throw the whipped cream on it if you want with some walnuts, and maybe melt some dark chocolate, or maybe just having a few pieces of dark chocolate. Okay, you still did your dessert, but you switched it to a better option that's going to be healthier for you. And with every small, better decision that you make, that's how you're going to roll yourself into a lifestyle.
you're a lot nicer than me. I just say have a friggin' banana and that's it. But anyway, so listen, we appreciate you being here. So we talked about food, we talked about exercise, like anything, like what else is food, exercise, supplementation? Is that important? Like what are some, give us like 4 or 5 like basics. Here's where I want you guys to start.
Sleep. Before
Okay.
I would talk about supplementation,
How
I would
much
say
sleep?
Well, for the entrepreneurs, they won't like it, but 6 to 7 hours for men, and
Oh man, I need
anywhere from 8 to 10 for women. That's if you want optimal health. If you're looking for optimal results, that's what you need.
If I don't get 7, I'm like worthless. It's weird. When I was younger, I swear to God, I could do 4 hours, but now as I've gotten a little older, I need that at least 7 hours.
Sleep is so important.
And I love it.
Yeah.
Remember when I don't know about you, Brittany, but when I was younger, I used to feel like I was missing out somehow. If I was sleeping, it was weird. Now I'm like, I want to sleep. I want to get my sleep.
Yeah.
But I go to bed early and I wake up pretty early though. So
yeah, that's good.
So sleep, food, exercise, sleep. What's next?
I would say some type of prayer practice or meditation, journaling, something like that.
Why though? What does that have to do with health? Meditation, prayer?
It's everything. Honestly, it's under, like I would say my relationship with God is the most important part of my day. And it's the most important part of getting through anything that's trouble, anything business. Did I lose you?
Having some Wi-Fi connection issues. I'm not sure. Is that you or me?
I don't know. It can't be me.
I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, so something bigger than ourselves is super important. And for me, that's the living word, and that's God. So that is a huge part of having purpose. And I think having purpose in living on purpose is really everything. And I think that is the number one key motivator for us to want to be better in whatever it is we're trying to improve.
I love it. Yeah, it's so funny you said that about, because I literally just yesterday I started meditating again. I used to meditate every day for years. Sort of certified in TM, and I got away from it. I just, at some point, it's easy. You just kind of don't do it one day and then the next day, and then before you know it, you forgot that you even meditated. And I think I've been away from it for about a year, and I started up again just yesterday. And then now that you said that, I realize I haven't even done it today. So I'm doing great in this area. But the good news is now, as soon as I hang up this, I can go sit down for 10 minutes and do a quick meditation, because that's all it takes. You there?
I think I'm back. Yeah. So that would be where I would start. I don't know, supplementation is a tough one because it's hard to know who needs what. So I would say food, exercise, sleep, and prayer, meditation practice, and get outside.
Yeah, I can't wait to get outside. It's like 9 degrees out right now, though, so it's pretty rough. All right, so you're in my area. I am actually a patient of yours. You're in the doctor, which you guys are helping me out with. I don't know. He just cracks me and stuff when I go there. What are you guys helping me with? I mean, it feels good though. I feel better, which is nice, which is why I keep going back.
Yes.
What is it called? Not acupuncture, but
chiropractor.
Yeah. See, it's been a long day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys are helping me with that. So what's different about you guys, like the Wellness Way, than most of the people that do kind of say they do what you guys do?
I would say it's our approach. It's our approach to the restoration, like I'd said earlier, in the sense that we test, so we're not guessing. We have blood tests, urine tests, stool tests. We can test for just about anything. We see a ton of patients with mold toxicity and hormone issues. Those are kind of the top 2 issues that come in on that wellness side. And the testing is there to really give sort of a bigger picture as to where there might be, where the inflammation is stemming from, where there might be some, deficiencies, where there's that. And so then the docs work an individualized care plan. But the goal is that you're not dependent on these supplements and these things, for life. We want to also work with you on the lifestyle along the way so that we restore the body back to health. And then you're just kind of working with the basics throughout your life, basic supplementation that you're using, like right now we need vitamin D, right? Because we're not getting outside. So things like that, the really basic things. But so it's really the fireman carpenter principle that sets us apart, because we have a lot of people that they'll come to us and then they'll say, oh, well, my doctor said this. And the difference between us is that, the medical system is excellent at putting out fires, right? If like you have an emergency, or if you have something really pressing, or if you need surgery, you want them there, right? You need that like whatever it is. But we're the carpenters. So we're there to restore the home. So after a fire happens, the firemen are really great at putting out that fire, but they're not rebuilding it, right? They leave it and they say, oh, I did a great job, but your house is a total mess. You can't move back in there. So you have to bring the carpenter in to rebuild and restore and put it back in good shape. So that's what we're doing. We're putting your body back into good shape. So if you have a fire, go get your fire put out. And then we're here for that restoration piece.
I love that. Is there a and I would also add, that's a great metaphor, but you guys can be like, who would come in before that? Like, I guess building code enforcement, right, would be like making sure everything was done to code and at the highest standards, right? And like, so that you're not going to have these issues, or even if you did have a fire, it would be minimized because of how good the property was built, right? Like, I don't know, I'm just throwing something that's coming to my mind, but
totally.
It seems like that's why I'm going back to you guys now, because as I said in the beginning, I want to preserve my good health as long as possible. So because I am a believer in the living to 150 years old and that stuff. So I want to be fit, agile. So that's why now I'm going to you guys, because it's good. It actually helps. Like, I don't feel like I don't have not as tight, not as many backache issues, since the doc's been kind of, jamming me up a little bit, twisting my back, neck, all kinds of stuff that I don't necessarily like, but I like now that I notice is I'm not feeling the aches and pains, and I don't tend to be as tight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and you have to think about what the spine is. It's the fast communicator through the body. So that spine is your central nervous system. So if it's what they call subluxations within the spine, and that's where they're doing those adjustments, then it's not firing to all your organs and all the things in your body. So that's why a lot of times after an adjustment, people are like, oh, I can I'm seeing clearer, or I feel clearer, or I'm breathing better, all these little things, because your spine is such an important organ. So when it's off, it can throw the whole body off. And that's really, with the wellness way, they talk about that Swiss watch principle, is that the whole body works together, and it's like a Swiss watch, where the gears, if one gear's off, the whole body's off. So we're always looking at all the gears, even in healthy people like yourself. We want to make sure all the gears are working, and they're working well, so that you can live to 150 and do what you're going to do for that long.
And do a lot of good stuff, my friend.
That's right.
Stuff. So how do people, if people are interested in talking to you, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
If you just go to thewellnessway.com and you click on find a clinic, just type in Massachusetts and you'll find us.
Okay, cool. Are you the only clinic in Massachusetts?
We are.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that. All right, awesome. And for listeners, let's sum it up. Let's give kind of like a breakdown. Like here's let's give them like let's give the top three. Like if let's say somebody just chimed in just now, they haven't even listened to anything and they just heard this part. What's the top three things they can do right away to start fixing their health and improving their health?
Clean up your diet, make sure you're exercising and creating movement on a regular basis, and get enough sleep.
That's it, huh? Diet, exercise,
and prayer,
sleep, prayer. I love it.
Prayer. I should have said prayer first, but
I love how you say prayer though. See, for most people, like it doesn't correlate how it's connected with diet and exercise and sleep though.
It's 1,000% correlated.
How?
It's the first thing. If you have a connection to your purpose, then everything else kind of falls into, it's like the rising tide, right? So if you're really connected to your purpose and you're doing your prayer and you're really thoughtful and you're working on purpose in your life, you're going to want to make good decisions to continue to do that.
That was such a good answer. Thank you. Because you're right. If you have the purpose now and you're intentional, then yes, you're going to want to you're going to want to have good health and you're going to care. And yeah, that's so good. So true. Amazing. Hey, I'm going to wrap with this. Gary Keller, who's a mentor of mine for years, he had this saying, never forgot it. And he said, if you don't take care of your body, where are you going to live? That was his question to all of us in his mastermind. What are your thoughts on that?
I love it. It's perfect. He's so right. It's our temple. So we have to live in it, and it needs to be taken care of. So, and there's certain steps you got to take in order for that to happen. And I'm not a believer in cutting the corners or that quick fix. It's that lifestyle. So build it one little step at a time, and you'll love your life even more than you do today.
And one more question. Who is your perfect customer?
There obviously everyone has an avatar, but my perfect customer is the one who wants it more than we do.
What do you mean?
We work really hard to motivate and guide and keep our people going. But the ones that come in that are hungry and they want to get better, and they know they have to do the work, and they're there to participate, and they know that they own their health. We don't own it. You own it. So it's the ones who understand that they own it and they're willing to do the work and show up. They're the perfect ones.
All right. I love it. Awesome. Thank you for your time today. Appreciate you.
All right, Dave. Thank you so much for having me.